For all the brands that are winning right now, it's not because of a crazy budget. It's because of creative, scrappy marketing that's either free or cheap. What's going on, everybody? Miller McCoy again here. We got the lovely co-host,
Steve Mangini.
That's right. A few things that we're going to be going into on this podcast is, if you think that you need a big influencer to blow up your brand, you don't.
Nope.
If you're currently in the realm of doing anywhere from 3 to 5K, you're a lot closer to hitting those 10K consistent months. And Steve, who's this podcast for today?
I mean, if you've launched your brand already, had some sales, but you're really looking to get over this 10K a month kind of number, this episode is definitely going to be for you.
Yeah. So a few things that we're kind of looking at, right, is the mindset to scale from a brand starter to a brand owner.
Yeah.
Right. The last episode I was talking a lot about where if you're still thinking like a designer, right, and you're not thinking like a business owner,
you're going to fail.
You're going to fail,
Yep.
right? Or you're going to, you're going to stay a designer,
Yep.
right? And that's great. Some people love that. Some people want to do that,
Yep.
right? But if your goal in this game is to make a large, thriving brand, if it's to move a lot of product, make a lot of money, build an equitable, valuable thing, right? You got to treat it like a business.
That's everything. That's the world, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, first thing I'm kind of going to go into is what got you to 3K a month or $3,000 launches and stuff like that won't get you to 30K a month. There's the operator mindset versus the owner mindset, right? A lot of times when you're the operator, you're kind of doing everything,
Yep.
right? You're playing all the roles. And this is something that we had to learn a lot in Limitless,
Yep.
right? When you're doing everything, when you're making the designs, when you're making the website, when you're doing the marketing, when you're being very hands-on is a good thing, but there's a time and a place where you have to learn to delegate and figure out what you do best and find people that do what you don't do best much better than you and be able to empower them and put them into the place where they can just scale and grow the brand.
Exactly. And I think last podcast I was on, we talked that point there of like, I think it's so important to just have somebody who is in their role doing exactly what they do best. You put somebody who's a salesman into a designer role, you put a designer into a marketer role, they might get stuff done, but it's just not going to be the type of progress that you want to see. You're going to set some goals. They might get them done because it's a job for them. They're making a paycheck, but you want to have somebody that's like very excited to do what they do best. And that's the best part of being an owner, a CEO, a manager, anything, is employing the people who are better than you at what you're employing them to do.
You're spot on, right? Like if, that's one thing that we did here recently inside of Limitless, for an example, right? We brought on our full-on in-house production team,
Yep.
right? Where it's like we actually have people that are in place that are much older than us, that have more experience in this space than us, that know how to manage all the jobs that we're doing. Plus, we can double, triple that, and they'd still be comfortable.
Exactly.
Right? Where a lot of times some of our big headaches were managing all of the order flows and managing all the jobs and everything that's going on, right? And getting all the consistent updates and trying to be on time with everything. And, we've been fortunate enough to find ourselves in a position where we realized this wasn't our full-on strong suit.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Let's find people that are better than us at this and put them in place and empower them to do a good job.
Yeah.
Right. And off the rip, like every time we do our Monday huddles, our team meetings, right? It's like we now are presented with a spreadsheet that shows every single job that's in the production queue, that shows literally everything that's going on.
And that's been, I mean, I say it all the time. It has just been a lifesaver of just being able to like have a meeting, see what's going on, because you know that somebody else is managing that, rather than what we used to do is hop on a team call and go, hey, Miller, like, what's the status of this? What part of the production, process is this in? Hey, Steve, where are we at with this? Oh, okay, cool. You're doing this project. Okay, where is this project? It's like, it was getting very confusing at a time. And it's honestly so embarrassing that it took us so long to actually get it like that. But that's progress. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. And if it was built again, it was going to be built completely different. So everybody has their own process of how they're doing things.
Yeah.
And it's just been nice. I mean, we've been able to obviously really see the growth from when we do take those right people and put them in their right positions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're spot on, right? And so, yeah, to get from 3K to 30K a month, right? The next level thought isn't about more designs. What new designs or what new products can I make? It's about how can I build a better system? How can I think about smarter marketing? How can I build a better flow to this whole entire thing?
Yeah.
Right? That's going to allow you to free up your headspace, your
Yep.
cognitive load, something that we talk about internally all the time,
Exactly.
right?
I mean, building a brand is not just creating cool stuff. Like we said in the beginning of this podcast, it's not just create a cool design and make a lot of money. I mean, that can happen, but it's not sustainable. You can have a cool design or a cool hat that blows up on TikTok or social media. And yeah, you might get a few thousand sales or a few $1,000s or, your first 100K or something. But if you just have that mindset of, I'm just going to wait until something goes viral again, you're in the wrong position. And a brand is much more than creating just cool stuff. It really is a business. And we talk to people, clients, friends, everybody all the time about that specific point. You have to treat it like a business. If you're not thinking about how to grow it, if you're not thinking about how to employ the right people on your team, if you're not thinking about how can I sell more than I did last time, because you can make better designs, but it's not, oh, this one design is more skillful than the other, it's going to sell more. It doesn't really hit like that.
No, and I'll go off that too. I don't think it's a lot of people when you're looking at your design sheet and you're looking at your products and stuff like that. What we see all the time, especially when we're doing like analysis of brands and whatnot, it's like you'd think that, okay, well, this product's going to be a hitter,
Yep.
right? This is going to be the one. Oftentimes it's not the one,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, so you're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. What we're trying to do is figure out those winning products if you've already hit some,
Yeah.
right? And figure out how to just improve upon those products, improve the
Exactly.
process, build a better flow, build a better marketing system, build a faster way to get those to the consumers,
Yep.
get the consumers to now start talking about it,
Yep.
make some content about it,
Yep.
right? And it's like that's what's important,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of times people are always in this headspace where it's like, okay, well, this is the coolest design I've ever made.
Yep.
Okay, cool, but what's the marketing play that's going to be behind
What's
it?
the story?
What-
And like we say this too a lot of like, you can create the coolest thing on the best quality blank for the best price possible
Yeah.
and get it in somebody really cool's hands,
Yeah.
and it might not sell at all. Like
Yeah.
you might get 10 sell. I mean, we've seen it. Like the coolest stuff that we think might not sell, and then vice versa. You have the plain white tee with like black text here that says I was born to be a millionaire, and there's the right marketing and the story behind it, and it's selling thousands of pieces a month.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what? I just used a $3 t-shirt and a $5 print. It's $8. Like there's nothing special about this,
No.
but it's about the statement because that's a statement piece. It's about
The
who
story
you were
that's with
marketing.
it.
Exactly.
The whole picture.
Yeah.
It's spot on. So, that 3K mindset where you're making some cool stuff, you're just throwing it out there, letting it fly, you're hitting up all your buddies, you're making some base level content about it, right? That's good to get the wheels churning. That's good to kind of lay the foundation and be able to establish yourself at a very small base in the industry.
Yeah.
But the things that's really going to start catering you to the next level is by amping all of that stuff up, fine tuning the whole entire process, being able to delegate the marketing to somebody that's better at marketing than you,
Yeah.
or content creation
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Like finding what you're really good at, sticking in that lane, and empowering people around you to be better than you are in those other places that you lack.
Exactly. And it's that creative business balance. You
Yeah.
can't have one or the other. You have to have both. And that's what really makes a successful brand, company, anything flourish.
And that's so important too. And a lot of, I feel like, entrepreneurs miss that, right?
Yeah.
Especially on like the creative side.
Yeah.
The being creative, especially in the entrepreneur space, is super important. But what's just as important, if not more important,
Yep.
is understanding how to actually operate business.
Exactly. Because you have the creatives, and every creative knows this of like creatives have it, like creatives and entrepreneurs and just creatives and business people have different minds. Like the way that they do work is so
Yeah.
different. Like there will be a creative who might need to take 30 minutes a day and go out and walk in nature or
Yeah.
go take a drive or like go visit an art gallery or go down to the fashion district and like look at clothes and designs and like
Yeah.
that's what gets somebody going. That might not get a businessman going. He's like, why am I wasting my time? If I'm getting, my time is valued at $100 an hour. It takes me $100 to get downtown. This isn't a good ROI.
Right.
It's like, well, the creative thinks differently. They have to work hard on something and then take time to process that backwards. And then the same goes for entrepreneurs and businessmen of like, they kind of struggle at that creative side. They want to just get a system moving and they're like, why would I waste time making a video? Why would I waste time, sitting here and being in the showroom and just looking at colors and thinking of what inspires me? Like those thoughts don't even go across in those minds a lot of the time. So it really is important to either figure out how you can be those two, or if you are one or the other, finding somebody else who's that yin to your yang.
Find the yin to the yang.
Yeah.
Because both are needed. As an entrepreneur, as a startup business, as a brand, both are absolutely needed.
Exactly.
The next thing I kind of want to touch on a little bit is marketing and ads breakdown, right? Right now I'm seeing, I don't know if it's because it's kind of in my algorithm, but I get hit left and right with ad agency, marketing agency, all these sort of, we scale meta ads, we do all this sort of stuff. And it's like, there's a time and a place for it. And this is something that we preach to a lot of the people that we talk to, a lot of the people that we work with. I think we've mentioned it sometimes on the podcast here, but it's like, there's a time and a place for everything. And I'm a firm believer that ads are really good when you're in the new client acquisition phase.
Yep.
Right? Once you've already kind of capitalized on the audience that you have, that core audience, and you can expect that repeat business from them, how can we go out and acquire more of these people?
Exactly.
Get them in the system and turn them to new super fan consumers.
Yeah, because you have to obviously, if we're talking paid ads, right? You start with your engagement style ads, which is testing new target groups. You're saying, hey, I am this clothing brand who wants to sell gym clothes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for some ads. I'm going to do some ad sets that are targeting the people that I want. So if I'm talking gym and athletic wear, I'm talking people that run, people that go to the gym, people that take supplements, people that like to work out, bike, do whatever type of fitness. I'm going to put them into a group. This is a target group is what it's called. And you're going to put a little bit of spend just to get this ad in people's faces. This is just engagement. This isn't really trying to get people to comment. This isn't getting people to, buy your product, share your product, become a lifetime customer. This is just get in the eyes. Because like we say it all the time, you have to, especially in this day and age, everybody's attention span's terrible. And in 15 seconds, you're going to forget, most of the time, you're going to forget what you just saw on Instagram 15 seconds ago. So you have to get in the face of people multiple times until they start to kind of resonate with what you're kind of preaching to them. And then you can run those actual engagement, like targeted ads to those people.
The conversion ads.
That are converting them.
Yeah.
Converting a purchase, converting engagements on your posts.
Yeah.
Whether you're looking for purchases or just to kind of spread the word.
Yeah.
That is where you go. You go engagement, then you go conversion. And then the last thing you do is once you are having a struggle with converting all these people, you do your retargeting ads, which is, hey, you clicked on my post, you clicked on the product, you clicked add to cart, but you didn't buy anything. And you maybe not even go that far, because if you click it on the cart, you're probably going to get just like an abandoned cart email, which is a form of retargeting. But maybe you just click on my website.
Yeah.
Then I end up seeing an ad on Instagram a day later that says, hey, I saw that you were on the website. You're one of the many people that click on and forget about it. Well, here's why this product is so good for you.
Yeah.
And you can tell you're like, this ad was like made for me.
Yeah.
Like it's clearly trying to retarget me. So it's engagement, it's conversion, and then retargeting. That's that cycle you need to be in.
And transparently, here at Limitless, we've just internally started running some engagement ads.
Yep.
right? And I kind of want to talk a little bit about the style that we're doing there. So with like all the new posts that we're doing, we're putting like only $6 a
Yeah.
day or something, like something extremely low
Yeah.
into all of these ads for all of
Exactly.
our new posts. And it's just on engagement. It's not on conversion or anything. A lot of our ideal customers aren't really even living on Instagram or
Yep.
whatnot, right? But it's just to kind of basically act as a billboard,
Exactly.
right? And then once we find the 5 posts that converted really well from those $6 a day ads, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, or engaged really well, right? Okay, well, now instead of spending $6 a day, let's spend $60 a day on this
Exactly.
ad, right? And being able to amp that up. So it's starting with an extremely low spend to find those winners.
Exactly.
And then once you find those winners, amp it up,
Yep.
right? Turn the machine on.
Exactly. And it really is just, I mean, like you said, we're putting collectively into 5 videos like $30 a day.
Yeah.
And like to us, we're a business who makes money. We're fortunate enough to make profits. So we can spend $900 a month on engagement ads. And I think the reason that we're getting them so low is because we've, been fortunate that we've built our platform
Yeah.
pretty organically. I mean, we've started this company with no paid ads. We've done very, very light, basic ad campaigns in the past. Really just working with our team now, kind of getting a lot more consistent with that. We've seen really good numbers, and you can get good engagement with a low spend.
Yeah.
Because it's not a very expensive type of ad.
Right.
When we start talking about conversion ads, those are probably going to be the most expensive. That's where you'll start to see, okay, yeah, to sell a $30 product, my customer spend is maybe going to be $5, maybe it's $10. It really depends on the niche, the product.
And if it's a high ticket thing, like sometimes some of the sales that we're aiming for,
Yep.
right? Hell, you might spend $100, $200,
Yep.
$300, $400 just to be able to get somebody to come into the door and spend $1,000.
Exactly.
But if you can find that math and you can fine tune that machine, for every $400 that you're spending, you're going to get $1,000 back.
Exactly. And
Well,
this is
that's
that
a no-brainer.
This is that business versus creative thing where it needs to merge, because if you're a creative and you're making dope videos, that's awesome. And if you are smart enough as a creative to bring an ad team on or do your own ads for engagement, you might get a lot, right? But then you need that business mind where it's like, okay, now I'm spending money. Now I need to make sure it's making money.
Yeah.
Because if it's not making money, you might be getting a lot of views, but you're just kind of pissing money away.
Yeah.
You got to say, cool, I spent $1,000 this month on ads. If it got me $1,001 profit, that's a success,
Yeah.
And then you take that, you reinvest it. So if you made $1,500 off of 1,000, you can pocket the 500 and continue, or you can take that 500, put it more into more ads, better targeting, and turn that 1,500 into 2,000, 3,000, 4,000.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. And for a lot of the brands that are out there, right? If you're running ads that look like an ad, you've lost.
Yeah. It's gotta be like organic. It really has to look like that.
It's got to be. That's why we preach so much on the UGC style, right? Like in today's world, if somebody feels like you're putting an ad, you might get a comment on your page that says, "No Diddy."
Yeah, nice try, Diddy.
Nice try, Diddy.
Yeah,
nice try,
that
Diddy.
is under every single like really addy ad I see on Instagram. And I thought that was gonna be a thing for like a month or two. It's been a thing for like 6 months now.
They're still letting it rip.
So don't be a nice try Diddy ad.
That's right. Yeah, really try to go with the UGC route, and that's why we always harp on this so much. If you can get your customers to then take your product, talk about your product, and show your product off online, you're already a few legs ahead
Exactly.
of the next guy, right?
Exactly.
And then take the best performing organic, true UGC stuff. And that's the stuff that you should be running the ads behind.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I know we're talking paid and we'll get into organic, but like, that is also a reason that we're talking about good client experience for like buying a product versus how you receive it. Like, is it in a cool box that somebody is going to make an Instagram reel about saying, hey, today I just got this product in from so and so. Let's do an unboxing together. You can take that content as long as it's okay with, you know,
Yeah.
the person. And if they're promoting you, I'm sure that they'd love to,
Right.
you know, work with you more. You can take that video, put some ad spend behind it, and then you're getting this real customer who's really unboxing your product, who is really excited about it.
Yeah.
And you have a real world example of like, if you buy my product, this is how you can feel.
This is what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest packaging and unboxings I saw was there's that group AMP.
Yeah. The Kai Cenat thing.
Kai Cenat, and they did like deodorants and body. They did like
colognes
and they did the craziest box. It was like this giant triangle box, had to be like 2 feet tall, and you peel off the front cover of it like it's a brand new Apple product, and you're peeling off
it's like that super satisfying, like, you just, the endorphins go off in your brain.
You peel it off, you see the cool artwork behind, you then open it up, and there's a screen inside of the box. It's like playing their little, you know, oh, thank you so much for the support, you know, we appreciate you, this, that, the third. And then all of a sudden there's the products that are perfectly inlaid into the box and the packaging, and there's like buttons in it. Super top level. I'm sure that's crazy expensive.
It definitely is.
You know, they were doing it all for like PR packages and stuff like that. The person I saw opening was David Dobrik.
But I mean, that's, you know, we'll talk into that really quick. It might have cost $400 to make each box.
Yeah.
But then you have David Dobrik on Snapchat who has, I don't even know, but I know multiple millions of followers.
Yeah.
You just spent $4,000 to get in the eyes of millions of people. And when you do ads and when you start to run engagement, conversion, retargeting, whatever, you'll start to realize the difference of paying like people and sponsors or paying for just direct ads. One might work better than the other, but like in my experience, if I'm going to put, let's say $100 into an ad and maybe it gets 100,000 views, right? So you get, you know, 10 cents per view.
Yeah.
Well, if I spent $100 on, you know, an influencer who has 500,000 followers, and let's say they get on average, you know, 1 million views on a video. Well, now you just spent $100 to get 1 million views as opposed to $100 to get 100,000. So you went from 10 cents per customer down to 1 cent per customer.
Yeah, and this is actually something that I was talking a little bit on the last one I was recording. And one thing that I think people need to be conscious of, right, is when they're doing kind of the influencer marketing, is making sure that the influencer that they're delivering the product to is an avatar for their brand.
Exactly.
Right, is somebody that they could actually see purchasing or using the product, and knowing that their followers and people that are in their ethos and all that sort of stuff are also potential consumers of the brand.
Exactly. Or you're just wasting your money.
You're wasting your money.
You know, you're not going to get, let's say, Post Malone, some product that is about email marketing, right? Or you know, a new tech product.
Right.
His fans, while there are fans that he has that probably like tech, that isn't the people he's kind of really associated with.
You're not going to Western thing.
Exactly. You're not. I say this all the time with people who are making designs. Like, if you're going to send a product to somebody and you're making like a skateboard brand, a skatewear brand, you're not going to send it to, you know, the person who likes country, because while they may overlap sometimes, you'd be much better getting Ryan Sheckler, Tony Hawk, you know, obviously big names, but like getting those guys as opposed to somebody who doesn't skate or like might have a few skate customers.
Yeah, no, spot on. Now let's talk about some juicy stuff, right? Organic and free marketing.
Yeah.
You know, we always preach you want to exhaust all measures before you kind of really dive headfirst into the paid world, right? The second you start paying those machines, the algorithms, that's where they kind of control you. You know, and so there's organic and free content creation is still king if you're able to hit the viral trend, or not trends, but hit the viral markets and get the eyeballs freely and organically.
Exactly. And I honestly think, excuse me, but I think it will be king forever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever see a time where it becomes less effective than paid marketing.
Right.
Now, there's instances why you would do paid ads versus organic, but if I'm being real, the day and age that we live in, it's just getting more and more on social media. Now, if we get to a point where social media ends up flipping and people like don't want to be on social media anymore and people actually want to do real world things and like experience and like touch cool things and like live in the real world,
Yeah.
that might flip, right?
Yeah.
That's when you'll walk outside and you'll have to see the billboard.
Yeah.
Or you'll have to see the bus that's got a sticker
big
on the
print,
side of it.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
you'll have to open the newspaper or the magazine, right? Like, but until people stop using social media, which I don't see that for the foreseeable future, there's millions of people to use.
Absolutely.
Why would you not just make content for free and then see if it works for you? And if
Right.
it doesn't, you either suck or you're not putting the right people in place.
And I think a lot of times too, right? Like Gary V, right? Huge dude in the space,
Yep.
right? Whatever you think about him, he's built a very successful base, right? He did the wine library thing
Yep.
before he was who he is today. He did 1,000 videos.
Yep.
He made 1,000 wine library videos
Yep.
before any one of them went viral.
Exactly. Same thing with like the Picasso thing. He made 20,000 artworks
And nobody, yeah,
and then he died and then he became famous, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it takes a lot sometimes. Like if you're doing any type of marketing, if you're going to just try to blow up and go viral and you don't, and then you get discouraged, you're in it for the wrong reason. You
Yeah.
got to make the content and just be happy and be excited to do that.
And I think the content side of the thing too, it has a trickle effect, right? And that's what's really gives the true overnight success feeling.
Exactly.
Right? When you have 1,000 videos already posted and then you finally get that one that goes crazy viral,
Yep.
that's how you get the explosion effect because, well, now I'm going to the other video. Now I'm
Yep.
going to the other video. Now I'm going to
Exactly.
the other video.
I'm going to spend
Now,
5 minutes and scroll this Instagram page on the past 3 months of reels.
yeah, and now my algorithm knows I'm obsessed with this.
Yep.
Right? So then it's like it's just going to continuously feed it to me.
Exactly. And that's something that I think like is so important for people to understand is that all of these different social medias, whether it be Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, they are all fighting
Yeah.
for your time
Yeah.
and for everybody else who's using its time. TikTok wants more people on TikTok than they want people on Instagram. So what they're going to do is they're going to give benefits to the people that spend the most time there,
Yeah.
which is why marketing now and just going viral now is different than what it was in the past. Most of the time, if you have a dead account that you're posting once a week, once a month, or very inconsistently, it's going to be very, very hard for you to get into that algorithm and then blow up and go viral. Now, on the other side, if you post consistent content, Instagram's going to say, hey, this guy posts a video every single day, which means he's on there because he's going to reply to comments, he's going to share, he's
gonna be
excited
active.
about it.
Yeah.
And because he's posting every day, now he's getting people to watch his content every day, which could be 50 hours of video, 100 hours of video, 1,000 hours of video of watch time. They're going to, and they don't say it, but they're going to reward you for that.
Absolutely.
Because you're spending
Why
the
wouldn't
most
they?
time for them. It's a business
It's a
move.
business, yeah.
They want to get as much attention as possible. So if I can give you
Yeah.
extra views and extra money to keep posting here,
Yeah.
it's a win-win.
And expanding on that, right? Going a little bit more into the UGC route. There used to be I don't think you can do it anymore, but like on Amazon, there used to be I'm sure there's still ways and you can gamify it however you want, but there used to be ways where you could gamify Amazon
Yeah.
to become like a hot seller, a new seller, and get thrown into their algorithm like on your launch day.
Yeah.
And what you would do is you'd basically create a group chat with 50, 100, 500, however many people that you could round up, right? And you'd put them all into a group chat and you would basically tell them all, okay, I'm going to launch this product. I need everybody to go in and buy the product right on launch day. And then the second you receive your product, I need you to take a photo of the product, make a 5-star review, and give it to, and post the review.
Yep.
And what I'll do is I'll refund you.
Yep.
Or not refund you, but I'll like Cash App you, or I'll Venmo you, whatever, the money that you spend on the product, and I'll give you $10 or whatever too, right? So you're gonna get a free product, and you're gonna get $10, and all you got to do is buy the product, leave a 5-star review,
because you're gonna make me look really good,
right? And so all of these, that was kind of the hack on Amazon back in the day, right? If you got a group of 500 people that would commit to every single product that you launched to do that, right? Like, you would get thrown straight to their algorithm, and you'd be on home pages. You know, if you're a creatine company and somebody searches creatine, they're gonna put you on that first page or whatever, right?
That's kind of like the Bobby Hundreds thing that he did, like, it's kind of exactly like that, where he, if you guys don't know, he ended up making a bunch of clothing, putting it in a retail store. I can't remember the exact store. Fred Siegel. He had barely any real sales. He had all of his friends' family go in and buy out the Hundreds collection in the store.
Yep.
He went back to the store and said, I see you guys are sold out. They put in another order, which was a much bigger order. They put it in more stores. And that effect happened. And then he became who he was. It's so crazy that, like, and it doesn't work all the time now. And maybe you can do that. And, if you do it, don't say you're doing it, but it could be a valuable thing. But think of those outside of the box ways to, like, market yourself or sell your brand. Everybody's just trying to do the same thing now. Yeah. And we see it all the time. It's like, you see ads and they're so boring. They're the same ad, just different company. Yeah, it's like, do something new. Be that, we talked about this in the last thing, be that trendsetter, be that unattainable person that everybody else wants to be. And then that's how you win.
It's a fancy car surrounded by poly mailers.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like,
it's laying on your 100 packages that you're sending out.
Yeah.
You know?
With the new car keys or something.
Or like, just bought this new house because of my fans.
Yeah.
Because of my customers.
And don't get me wrong, there's a part of people that really like, there's still an audience that likes that, but that's nothing new. That's not going to grant you, that doesn't have the same effect that it did back in 2015, 16, 17 sort of stuff, right? There's a whole lot of new trends. And if you expect to build the next Snow, or like the next, like, the next Hellstar, or whatever it may be, the next big brand, you're not going to get there by doing those things.
Exactly.
Right? Maybe on your personal page, whatever, but like, your brand page should never live in that world.
Exactly.
Right. I think in the going on to like that Amazon thing, but trying to figure out a way to do it in like today's world. Actually, the Fred Siegel thing, I think before he even had it in Fred Siegel, he sent a different group of friends and family into Fred Siegel asking
for
do
it.
You have the Hundreds?
Yeah.
They all said no.
Yeah.
And then one day, a few weeks later, a month later, whatever it is,
He's like, hey.
Bobby walks in with this line sheet.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, I'm the Hundreds. Do you guys want to carry me? And they go, we've gotten like 40 requests for you in the last month or so.
Yeah.
Sure. And then he just rinsed the same idea, bought all the pieces.
And that's such a great book too. Like, he's told the story, but he tells the story in the book too. I think the book is called This Is Not a T-Shirt.
Yep.
If you want to read it, it's such a good read, and it will really, it just tells you everything that you need to know to be original and start a brand, and really how to market yourself for success.
Absolutely. And I think in today's world, the way that you can still do the same sort of gamification stuff is being able to find a group of young TikTokers that are like very micro niched, small influencers. They might have just a few thousand followers or whatever, and building an army of those people to make content on your behalf.
Exactly.
Right. There's a big company out there right now, I think, called Creators Corner or Creator Corner.
I think I've heard of them.
That's exactly what they do. And I think like every month they've got at least a few products in the top 10 products on TikTok Shop.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
Yep.
They just get, hundreds, if not thousands of micro influencers. Sometimes they'll get a few big ones too, but just to make
that's
UGC
the dude who
content.
it's not like that robbed the bank dude, right?
I saw him other people.
Yeah, I saw him do a video on that. It really is. It's like the same way these Twitch streamers and YouTubers are paying people to clip their videos, and
Yeah.
now a real job is being a clipper,
Clipper.
which is take my video, clip it into a bunch of things, and if you get a video that goes viral, or once you pass this threshold of views, I'll pay you X. When you're at the next tier, I'll pay you X.
Yeah.
You're just gamifying it because it's essentially a commission-based thing where it's, hey, you're not going to make money unless you do good work.
Yeah.
And it could be the same way for brands where
Same thing. Technical difficulties, but we're back. New day. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Where were we?
Camera died, so, whatever. New outfits, new day.
Yeah, but I think, where we kind of left off, we were talking about kind of gamifying the UGC route, right? And you were touching on a little bit of clippers and stuff like that. And, I think another form that a lot of people kind of overlook or kind of miss over in today's world is a lot of the email and SMS marketing, right? Yeah. Neither one of them are dead. There's definitely certain people that email marketing hits better for, and definitely certain people that SMS marketing hits better for. And on some of the SMS stuff, right, there's a few new features or a few new programs and softwares that are being used in it. Like there's an app called SendBlue and another one called Link. Link is they're not as sped up with the times, but SendBlue is very new and very modern, and it actually gives you blue text messages as opposed to green text messages.
Everybody hates green text.
Everybody hates exactly. So it's it helps make it feel more personalized and like it's real and actually coming from somebody, right?
Helps that trust. It's actually funny. I'll stop you right there real quick. There's like a statistic, and I saw it for like dating and relationships, but I'm sure it applies to everything where it's like, if you have green text messages, you're less likely to get a text back from like somebody you want to talk to.
Wow.
And I think that's just like probably goes into everything. Cause like we have group chats where we're like, who's got the green text in here? But
there was literally those texts coming in yesterday. Yeah. Who's green in here?
Yeah. Cause Wilmer's phone messed up and he's texted from his email. And then Nick is like, who's got a green text message in here?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, let's solve this. So carry on.
Yeah. So the cool part about the SendBlue stuff, it's a lot better for like service-based businesses and things like that, and it's at a price point that's pretty aggressive. And if you know how to build your own kind of calling tools, your own like sort of server farm stuff, you can basically do it for the same price. The SendBlue it's expensive. It's like $1,000 for the first line.
Yeah.
And you can only send like 50. You can only have 50 conversations a day. But you can set like automated triggers where it's like with iMessages, right? You can like record voice memos and you can record like little selfie videos and you can send all these things here. So you're talking to a prospect through there, and it's just automated triggers where it's like, yo, if they reply back with this, then they get this voice message from the owner, from whoever it is. And then if they then schedule a call to meet with you or whatever, now they get a personalized video that's like, yo, man, excited to see you. Thanks for joining on.
Yeah.
I'll do some preliminary stuff and excited for the meeting tomorrow or whatever.
I wonder if there's like, maybe there's one out, and I don't think this is with SendBlue, but it'd be interesting to see, and I'm sure that there's something out or there will be soon. And if there's not and somebody's watching this, make it happen. But doing that mixed with like an AI chatbot that's like personalized to you so that like you actually feel like you're texting the person. The same way that like customer support, people are starting to integrate that AI model.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to see that. And I'm sure that there's probably a price point because it's AI, but I'm sure that could be like a low cost, cool idea, and then you're actually talking to like Drake in Drake's tones, the same way, like, how you would get you'd see somebody post on a story and be like, hey, text me at this number.
Yes.
And it's not them.
Yes.
And it's somebody else or like automated responses, but it could be a cool thing. So somebody make that happen.
Some big AI whiz. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
But, I want to funnel this into kind of some content creation tips.
Cool.
Right? What content have you seen recently that's actually kind of pushing the barrier for building brand culture, right? As opposed to what just looks pretty. Because you need a little bit of both, right? You need to be able to hold yourself up and look presentable, right? And professional. But then you also need some real stuff that's actually going to move the needle into building your brand's culture.
Yeah. I mean, I think that We touch on this a lot. I feel like there's a few different ways that you can push that culture rather than, again, I'm going to say, don't just try to go viral.
Yeah.
Like going viral is a great thing. It's a goal. Everybody wants to do it, but you got to push that message because let's say you push something that goes viral and it's not to the right culture, it's not to
Yeah.
that right customer. You're probably going to see some benefit, but it's not going to hit the right people. So it's
Right.
kind of like a waste. So I think step one would just be like figure out again who your niche is. Like you're building a brand, you're building a culture, you have a specific customer in mind, regardless of if it's apparel or product line. So really just try to push that culture. If you're making gym style garments, athletic garments, go to a gym,
Yeah.
film some content there.
In the gym.
Show somebody running up a mountain on a hike doing that.
Yeah.
Again, I'll touch on skateboarding. Find a skateboarder, or if you're good at skating, you know somebody is, shoot them doing like a kickflip. And as they do a kickflip, you get a nice underground shot of like them wearing the hat or them wearing the pants or the shoes, like
Or the skate deck.
or the deck, right? Like I did that with Disaster
Yeah.
World.
Yeah.
I had the deck, and that's that kind of stuff that actually goes. Like if you make a skate brand and you're just trying to get a viral video of a regular dude walking down Venice Beach, it's
the
not gonna hit.
correlation?
It might look great. The sunset's behind the beach, the
Yeah,
water.
you know-
It looks dope.
In today's world, I feel like people don't really buy product. Well, they do, but they're not buying the product for the product.
Yeah.
They're buying the product for the person and
Exactly.
the story that's being
Exactly.
told through that product.
Yep.
Right. So being able to share that story and the content.
Yep.
I think that's also that's what helps kind of move the needle.
Exactly. And it's, not just think about the person or the vibe you're going for. I mean, think of the colors, think of the setting,
Yeah.
think of what else that person is wearing aside from your stuff, right? Like a lot of times you don't want to have competing brands. Like if I'm trying to shoot an Aloe hat and I'm Aloe and I want to do a lifestyle campaign, maybe I don't have the content in a full Aloe outfit, but the same way that you are, where it's like, this is a plain shirt. There's no conflicting branding, right? If you're wearing a Nike shirt in an ad with an Aloe and the customer sees it, yeah, maybe it's coming from Aloe and obviously they can tell, but they're going to see Nike. They might really like the Nike shirt and be like, oh, screw the Aloe hat. I'm going to get the Nike shirt. That one looks really cool. So that's one of those things to avoid is like, if you're pushing your product, really try not to, whether it's a photo shoot, a content, video, whatever.
Right.
Really try to put all of the focus on your product.
Again, I also kind of want to touch on like, what are your thoughts on iPhone quality recording product versus professional recording product? Because I think that there's a place where iPhone quality and stuff like that can outperform than professional, especially if you're looking at like UGC sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on that type of content, right? Like if you're doing a professional advertisement, then yes, you probably want nice equipment. But like there is this thought in people's head of like, I need all of this equipment before I get started. It's like, dude, this ain't 2012 anymore where we have like a 5 megapixel camera. Look at this. There are 3 cameras. I have a wide view. I have a 25x zoom on my phone. I have 3 cameras on my phone. With the, at least the Pro Max, you have stability control. So if you're walking and taking a video, it'll like reduce the footsteps, like it makes it smooth. So I think honestly, just start. Like your phone is, just because you have it in your pocket all day and you're so used to it, you're like, oh, this isn't a professional piece of equipment. It really is. That's why you pay $1,800 now for an iPhone, and a professional camera you can find for under $1,000. Yes, it's going to have all its tricks and different lenses and apertures and stuff, but you have a professional phone in your pocket. And, I'm an iPhone guy, but if I'm going to look at Samsung and Android, I mean, they're ahead of the curve. Apple kind of follows and tweaks and makes it a little bit more simple.
But with the Samsung, bro, you got green text.
You got green text, but you have a great camera. Have a great camera. So yeah, do that. And then when you get to that point, now you're making some money, or now you're seeing the content is going really well. Now you can invest in that camera rather than buying that camera, spending a lot of money, shooting some content, either figuring out it's not for you and you're not
Yeah.
the guy to hire to do that. Maybe you hire somebody, or you're just gonna waste your money. And you're like,
Yeah.
now I have this $1,000 camera and this $1,200 lighting setup, and I don't even use it.
Speaking on hirings, I want to kind of do a little segment on that, right? I want to focus on building a small, remote, or even in-person team that helps drive revenue,
Yeah.
right? When's the right time for people to kind of break into that barrier? How you go about it,
Yeah.
right? This is something that took us a little while to start figuring out on our end. Because at first we thought we could kind of just do everything, and we
Yeah.
saw where that kind of got us. It we could take it far, but it made our lives kind of miserable,
Yeah.
right? We were doing nothing but that all day long,
Yeah.
playing every role, right? And the last sort of the last filming podcast that I kind of spoke on this where it's like I think the first person that you should bring in would be kind of either an operations or customer experience, customer service sort of
Yeah.
VA, or if you got a local buddy that you can give a few $100 a month to just sit there and answer some of the DMs, reply to
Yep.
the comments, go through the email, right? Like organize all that sort of stuff. So that way that's just out of sight, out of mind,
Yep.
right? And then from there kind of going into the content creation side, finding somebody that's like you're saying, right? Like if you're trying to be the jack of all trades when you're first starting and you go out and you get all this equipment and stuff like that, but then you find yourself, oh, I don't even have enough time to go do a real shoot, or if I go do this real shoot, right? Like this thing's going to take me 2 days to shoot, a week to edit the whole thing. Then I got to figure out the posting and rollout plan
Yep.
for it.
It's a lot. I mean, the common phrase, a jack of all trades is a master of none, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like we said, wear all of those hats in the beginning so you get a good understanding of what's going on, but then employ those right people. And I think it really depends on where your business is at, where what your goal is,
Yeah.
and then take a step back and decide, who do I really need next? Because for us, having an operations person full time was a very big deal.
Yeah.
And it took a very big load off of our shoulders, right? If you're a clothing brand, you might be a musician who wants to start a clothing brand or has one. That's not your main focus because you have to be in the studio, you have to make music, you have to travel,
Yeah.
you have to maybe make content yourself of your music so that you can get in the eyes of people, and maybe that brand gets pushed back a little bit, right? So you're going to probably hire a brand manager, somebody who can help you, or somebody like us who can manage that back end so that all you have to do is push your product. But if you're a 22-year-old kid who loves fashion, is in that industry, and started his own brand, you might be really excited to actually make the products. You might be
Right.
excited to sit on Photoshop for
Right.
hours and make the products, and maybe you just need somebody who is helping you with the content because maybe you don't have the eye for that. Vice versa, maybe you're really good at making content, but you know what you want in your head, but you can't put it on paper. So maybe that designer is
Yeah.
that first person you bring in. So my suggestion is just be honest with what you're good at and what you're not. See what that next point of growth can be,
Yeah.
and then bring that person in. And if it doesn't work,
So-
try somebody else.
So basically analyzing your strength and weaknesses.
Yes.
And where you're weak, hire that in.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And do what you continue to do that
Exactly.
you're strong at. There's a thing called a SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, I think is what it's called. Give yourself a simple type in SWOT analysis template on Google or whatever. Give yourself a simple SWOT analysis test. Uh, if you need help trying to figure out where your strengths and weaknesses in this whole thing are, for the most part, if you're kind of just getting started, or like if you are in the role of being like a musician or whatever,
Yeah.
you probably already know your strength and weaknesses.
Yep.
Right. But if you need help, check out a SWOT analysis test.
Yeah.
You know, it, moving forward and keeping the brands chugging along, right? What are some things that people need to kind of think about and look out for? I harp that it's never, you don't need to continuously build out your product offering and build out, more products don't equal more money. And in
Yeah.
fact, it does a lot of times it'll do the opposite,
Yeah.
right? If you go to a website and you're not already a big brand, right? Or if you're like a style of brand, like what we're kind of talking about on here, right? If you go to the website and there's 40 different options for for your product,
Yeah,
that's probably going to do you more harm than if there were three options
exactly.
for your
I
product.
mean, that's the difference of a retail brand, which you have either online retail, brick and mortar retail, or a kind of combination, and more of a drop based brand, right? So if you're a Fashion Nova,
Yeah.
or you're a Jaded London, or you're a other kind of big box brand that, yeah, you click on their website and they have men's, women's, unisex, and then through men's they have tops, bottoms, headwear,
And each thing has
accessories.
100 different options.
That makes sense if you have your business model made for that. Traditionally, a lot of the clients that we work with in kind of the streetwear industry is more in this drop based, right? And I say this all the time of human psychology is the more options you give somebody,
Yeah.
the less likely they are to make a decision. And the reason for that is because people just get overwhelmed. If you have one design and it's in 4 or 5 different colors, they're going to sit there and they're going to think about which one they want. And this goes for life in general. The more options you have, the less likely you are to make one, because you're going to have this, I forget what the technical term is, but it's like this regret of like, well, if
Buyer's remorse
buyer's remorse, buyer's regret, or something of like, oh, there's black, purple, green, and orange colorways. I'm going to get the orange colorway, and I'm not maybe going to be satisfied because I'm going to sit back and think, well, what if I got the black colorway?
right.
Like, what if I got the, purple? Was that going to match more?
Yeah.
So if you have one or two colorways of something or one or two designs of a single product, keep it at that. Obviously, there's some brands that can do a bunch of one design, but
And I will say, keep it at that when you're first kind of getting the ball rolling. But once you've proven that you've had that product, that
yeah, once you find that
design
winner,
is the winner, then it's like, okay, how do we capitalize a little bit more on this winner, right? We've already hit a very large market of this. We've sold
yeah,
a ton of the black ones.
yeah,
Okay, well, let's make a white one, right? We might
exactly,
not sell as many, or we might sell more,
yeah.
right? And then run the white one for a little bit.
But do it at different times. Like you
Yeah.
can drop a plethora, a rainbow of colorways in a product that works, but just don't do it at the same
All
time. If you want to
spot on.
drop 5 different colors, start with one and let people get that, and then let people get excited to get that next colorway. The same way
Yeah.
Supreme did it.
Yeah.
Like if they dropped 20, colorways of the box logo,
There's the market.
you wasted that, you
Yeah.
wasted your money. You're going to buy one, get very excited to buy the other because
Yeah.
it's coming soon, or
Yeah.
maybe you love that white and orange box logo and now you just started wearing a lot of red and now you can't wait to get the red when it comes out.
Yeah.
So split those products up.
Yeah, no, I love that. Uh, and a lot of times people think, like, going back kind of to that design side, right? A lot of times people are thinking or are under the thought where it's like, oh, this is a really cool T-shirt. Let me just put it out there and see if it'll sell, right? A T-shirt doesn't sell itself.
Yep.
It's the brand, the image, and the story, and the feeling that product gives that
Exactly.
actually pushes the sale.
Exactly. I mean, we've harped on it this entire podcast. It's not the product, it's the story. And like everybody watching, you need to understand that. You can create the coolest thing in the world. You need that story.
Spot on.
Yep.
Spot on. So some closing takeaways, right? If you want to scale your brand, you're going to need to focus on your system, your team, and your marketing, not just more designs or expanding your product line, right? Build that story,
Exactly.
and then flood the market with content, right? Own your customers' relationships through email, SMS, UGC, right? And start thinking as a CEO or a business owner, right?
Yes.
You got to move out of that designer mindset.
Yeah. I mean, really flood the freaking market. Like,
Yeah.
spend one day of the week and do nothing besides make content so that the rest of the week you can work and post that content and just be consistent with it. Rome wasn't built in a day. And again, if it was built again, it would be completely done differently. So just do it your way. Be consistent, whether it's once a day, twice a day, once every 2 days.
Yeah.
Consistency is key.
I mean, what do we do here at Limitless, right? Monday through Wednesday,
We shoot a lot of
we shoot a
content.
ton of content, and we're always 1 to 2 weeks ahead of a content. These podcasts, we're a month plus ahead now,
Yep.
right? It's like we build up that bank of content
Yep.
and just roll it out,
Yep.
and just let it flow.
Do the legwork so that you can just do other stuff later.
Yeah.
Like put in the legwork. a whole day of content is not a hard thing to do. You know,
Yeah.
we have 365 days in a year. You can spend one day, whether it's a Sunday, a Wednesday, a Friday.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Absolutely. So I hope you guys got something out of this podcast. Thanks for watching. Enjoy. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on socials.
It's going to be Limitless MFG for the company, the Miller McCoy, and no, the Miller McCoy is not your Instagram.
It's just Miller McCoy.
I'm reading this off the script. It's at Miller McCoy and then at Steven Disaster. Check it out. We're excited. Next podcast is going to be great. We got to bring like a third guest on. Like I feel like it'd be really good to have that third hot seat.
Yeah.
I got some ideas. I know you got some ideas. We got a bunch of people who'd love to come on, and I want to build that soon. So hopefully we'll get some cool special guests where me and Miller can kind of both reiterate and run it down with them and
put them in the hot seat and
put them in the hot
and
seat.
Interrogate them. Get the real answers for you guys that you're looking for.
And I mean, if you're interested, comment what you want to see next, who you want to see next, what brands, what concepts, what things you want us to talk about. And all that input helps a lot. Peace.